Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 9th November 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. HARDAN, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. In the past few videos, we have been trying to find out the main factors which are responsible for the achievement or otherwise of life's purpose of every human living entity, whether male or female. We already know by now that when the spirit spark gets ejected from the spirit soul and tries to get in touch with the material world, thinking that it can lord it over the material world. As soon as the spirit spark gets in touch with the material world, it changes its identity into a spirit soul which is still raw and unevolved. Just like raw gold is tempered in heat to make jewelry out of it, which becomes expensive and which increases its intrinsic worth. Similarly, the raw spirit spark turned a raw, unevolved spirit soul has to be tempered properly before it becomes a completely turned out and evolved spirit soul. They say in English, God takes some people to deep waters not to drown them but to clean them. Similarly, when an ordinary unevolved spirit spark becomes a raw unevolved spirit soul, the material world wraps the spirit soul with four layers of material body, which are known as the first layer of causal body of intelligence, the second layer of astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, the third layer of etheric body of five senses, namely sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and the fourth gross body, which is made up of four elements, which are air, fire, water, and earth. We all know that as soon as these four layers envelop the raw, unevolved spirit soul, it again changes its identity into a living entity. After that, a very long process of repeated births and deaths follows for that particular living entity, whether male or female, in which initially it takes birth into several other species in the material world before getting birth in the one of the 400,000 species or categories of human beings. As soon as this particular living entity begins its journey of birth and death in this human form among the 400,000 categories of human beings, his or her destiny and karma begin. Destiny or karma is actually the unworked karma in any lifetime of any human living being. It was born as a human being in a particular lifetime in the material world. This unworked karma of that living entity is stored birth after birth into the superconscious memory of that particular living entity, and this storage of unworked karma is called sanchit karma. When a particular human living entity completes one particular lifetime, then whether this living entity is male or female does not matter. He or she has a storage of sanchit karma in his or her superconscious memory. In the second next birth, the same living entity uses one slice of this Sanchit karma as the foundation for the next birth. This slice of Sanchit karma is known as Prarabdha karma. As has been mentioned before, life is not the same for every human living entity in the sense that depending upon the karma, destiny, experience, maturity, surroundings, atmosphere, etc., a particular human living entity advertently or inadvertently remembers one dormant purpose of life that had been assigned to this living entity long time ago. It usually happens that almost 75% of living entities don't even realize that they have come here with a purpose in life. The purpose is to get self realized, understand that they are individual spirit souls, get liberated from this repeated and endless chain of births and deaths, shed all the layers of the material body, and once we reach the form of an experienced evolved spirit soul, then get ready to be delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This must be the purpose of life of every living entity. However, before you jump into any conclusion, let me remind you that this is a long drawn, slow, and steady process. Initially, when the particular living entity, whether male or female, comes to realize that he or she has a purpose in life, usually that particular purpose is material in nature. After this person goes through several endless lives of human entity, then only when this person reaches the saturation point in material life does he or she, at some stage of evolvement, get spiritually inclined. Once this person starts becoming spiritually inclined, he or she reaches the spiritual path towards self realization, liberation, and deliverance. Even in the spiritual path, this living entity has to begin from A. All the material karma or purpose in life which he had been living in the past lifetimes remains back, and only some unworked sanchit karma of the material life remains in the psyche of that living entity who has already mounted the path of spiritualism. Starting from A, this person comes to realize that now he or she has a spiritual purpose in life. Slowly but steadily, in a long drawn process, this particular living entity reaches the pinnacle of success in some lifetime where he or she can safely say that he or she has become self realized and is poised to get liberated permanently from this repeated cycle of birth and death. Only after that does the stage of getting delivered as a fully evolved spirit soul come into existence, and the same fully evolved spirit soul one day gets delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As mentioned before, this is a very long drawn process spanning endless births and deaths and lifetimes in this material world. While we were discussing this particular matter, we came across one particular saying by a very important iconic legend called Napoleon Bonaparte, who was the French emperor in the 18th century in France. This man was so famous even during his own lifetime that people unabashedly tried to worship him and to emulate him to improve their own life. This person was once asked by one such worshipper, what is the secret of success to achieve any purpose, whether material or spiritual? Napoleon Bonaparte loftily replied, whether you are a male or a female, to achieve your purpose in life, you need three important qualities to be sewn into your own psyche. These are first, limitless ambition, second, ceaseless industry, and third, a determination to succeed. This has been three factors which have been dutifully followed by anyone who wanted to achieve his or her purpose in life, whether material or spiritual. All successful iconic legends have followed the path of these three factors to achieve their ultimate goal in a particular lifetime, whether material or spiritual. According to Napoleon Bonaparte, just having an ambition is not enough. It ends up only as a dream. Second, even if you include the second factor of hard work, just having an ambition and putting in a lot of hard work is not enough. You need the third factor of determination to succeed, to channelize your very, very priceless effort into achieving that particular dream. For that, you need such a focus towards the bull's eye that slowly but steadily, one day or in one lifetime, this focus and this bull's eye towards a purpose becomes a part of your life. As one very important bodybuilder called Akeem Williams, also known as Brooklyn Beast, said in one of his videos, you have to eat, drink, and live your particular goal in life to achieve that particular goal in life. If you try to compromise on this or get distracted towards other things in life, it is almost certain that you will fail to achieve your purpose. In this process of analyzing this very important topic, we discussed several case histories, both material as well as spiritual. In the spiritual category, today we are going to discuss another such case history which will prove to us or authenticate for us the fact that you require these three factors to achieve your spiritual goal. It is equally applicable to those who want to achieve a material goal. So let us begin with today's case history. There was one gentleman with the surname Karar in Bengal in India in the 18th century. This particular Mr. Karar became a very successful affluent and wealthy businessman who owned a lot of landed and other properties. One day, in the month of May in 1859, a son was born to him on 5th May 1855. This particular boy was christened Priyanath. Thus, Priyanath Karar became the official name of this young boy. It is the case history of this boy, Priyanath Karar, that we are going to discuss in this particular video. Nobody would have known then that this innocent child called Priyanath Karar will one day be renamed as Sri Yukteshwara Giri and will reach an iconic status in the spiritual world in India during the 18th and 19th century and the 20th century. He was born on 5th May 1855 and he passed on in the year 1936 February in India. But during this period of around 80 to 82 years, he reached such a level of spiritual excellence that he is today hailed as a legend according to the autobiography of Yogi written by none other than the founder of ISKCON of Yogoda Satsang Society, Mr. Yoganand Paramhansa, initially known as Mukunlal Ghosh. This Mukunlal Ghosh was a disciple of the same Yukteshwara Giri or Priyanath Karar, who himself was a disciple of the spiritually legendary Lahiri Mahashaya, who tried to expound and educate the masses in India and abroad about Kriya Yoga type of meditation in the Hindu mythology. Priyanath Karar came to inherit a lot of property thanks to his own very worthy, affluent, successful, and wealthy businessman. This boy had an uneventful childhood and adulthood. He got married, had a daughter, and when his wife expired and his daughter got married, he became a disciple of none other than Lahiri Mahashaya, along with other disciples, namely Panchanan Bhattacharya, Pranabananda, Mukundal Ghosh's mother, and other such equally great spiritualists. This boy was born in a place called Khidrpur in Bengal, India. Because he was very affluent and had a lot of landed property, he decided to build an ashram in that very Khidrpur and to live off the earnings from his huge property, mainly landed agricultural property. This Khidrpur ashrama used to educate boys on various subjects, including spiritual subjects contemplation, meditation, scriptures, spiritual books, and Kriya Yoga. Sri Yukteswar Giri met Mr. Mukund Lal Ghosh, who would later be hailed as Yogananda Paramahansa, in his residence in Banaras one afternoon. On that day, he initiated this teenage boy called Mukundlal Ghosh to become his own disciple. Probably this was predestined. Here we will take a detour. Sri Yukteswar Giri, alias Priyanath Kalar, and Sri Yogananda Paramhansa, alias Mukundlal Ghosh, were born into very affluent families because these guys were poised to reach their ultimate goal in the spiritual purpose in life. Probably these people had been working on their spiritual journey in some other lifetime. Probably they had completed several lifetimes where they were proceeding slowly but steadily towards their goal in the spiritual journey. That is precisely the reason that destiny arranged things in such a way for both of them that they were born into affluent families so that they need not bother about achieving material success. They were like seeded players who start their own journey in a particular tournament after some time when the initial competitors have already been shaken out or defeated or have won their initial performances to face these seeded players. Similarly, Sri Yukteswara Giri, who was once known as Priyanath Karar, and Sri Yogananda Paramhans, who was initially known as Mukundlal Ghosh, belonged to affluent, fairly reasonable, high middle class or wealthy families so that they need not work on their material success. They had already done that, probably in their past births, as a result of which, in this individual birth of their own, they were only asked to or supposed to concentrate on the spiritual journey. Sri Yukteswara Giri was extremely erudite, educated, and intelligent, both materialistically as well as spiritually. According to Swami Yogananda Paramahansa, Sri Yukteswaragi, who was later hailed as Jnanavatara, hardly read any books except the scriptures of Hindu spiritualism. He was very erudite and knowledgeable, and he could speak in English and French, and he communicated with several spiritualists from Europe, both France and England. He was such a great man that he became the spiritual master of another equally or more great person than him, as Sri Yogananda Paramahansa. When Mukundlal Ghosh graduated from a college and became a full-time graduate, then on that very evening, the same Sri Yukteswar Giri, whose disciple Mukundlal Ghosh had become in the ashram of Kedarpur, Bengal, India, was turned into a monk, and the new name of Swami Yogananda Paramahansa was given to him by the same Sri Yukteswara. Sri Mukundlal Ghosh alias Yogananda Paramahansa's mother was highly spiritually inclined, and she had also been a disciple of the same Lahiri Mahasaya who was teaching Kriya Yoga. In fact, it is said that Sri Mukundlal Ghosh was born in the year 1893 on 5th January, and in the year 1895, a few months or years before the demise of Sri Lahiri Mahasaya, he saw this baby who was brought to him by this baby's mother and placed on the lap of Sri Lahiri Mahasaya. It is quite possible that at that time Sri Yukteswar Giri was already a disciple under Lahiri Mahasaya, could have witnessed this particular incident without knowing how prophetic this incident would be. His future disciple was lying on the lap of none other than his own spiritual master, Lahiri Mahasaya. Sri Yukteswar Giri ran his ashramas in Bengal as well as Orissa, in the area of Puri in Orissa, where he breathed his last in the year 1936 in the month of February or March. He was so fortunate spiritually that his last funeral rites were performed by none other than his own greatest spiritual student, Mukundlal Ghosh, alias Swami Yogananda Paramahansa, who had founded this society called Yoga Satsang Society of India, which has at least 185 branches today all over the world. Even here, Sri Yogananda Paramahansa was already working in United States trying to popularize this system of yoga called Kriya Yoga among the Westerners and Americans, and had been living in America for 30 years before prophetically came back to India in the year 1935 or 36, when his own spiritual master Sri Yukteswara Giri passed on to his spiritual abode. We must all take a leaf out of the lives of such great men as Sri Yukteswara Giri and Sri Yogananda Paramahansa to understand how we should lead our own spiritual lives and reach the pinnacle of success through the practice of the three factors, that is, limitless ambition, ceaseless industry, and a determination to succeed. These great men used to practice all these factors in such a way that these factors became an extension of their own material or spiritual life. This is all I wanted to say in this particular video on the case history of Sri Yuktesh Giri. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular case history. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, ideas, and opinions so that I may blend everything together for the sake of the society in the present days or in future. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.